All right. Good morning. Welcome to our anxiety workshop 2. And we'll be talking a little bit more about anxiety. If you have any questions, feel free to let us know. Name is Jamie. I'm from Milton. Everybody here knows that, so I will skip that. Hopefully, whatever we talk about in this workshop is it's a safe place. But we are posting this online, so just be aware of that. This is our outline for today. So we're going to be talking about anxiety and kind of the stages of it, and a bit more about how it actually kicks in. So let's begin with a definition of an anxiety. Anxiety is a natural human response to stress or perceived danger. It's a feeling of unease, worry, or apprehension that can be caused by anything from a big event or major change to something as simple as a work presentation or meeting new people. In fact, anxiety is part of the body's natural fight or flight response that helps us react quickly to potential threats. Any questions about anxiety?
Can you quickly just summarize the difference between stress and
Anxiety
anxiety?
is a response to stress. Stress is a response to something that happens.
External.
Yeah, usually external. And stress and anxiety both produce the fight and flight response. Like I said, they feel exactly the same, except stress is more localized. You know, somebody hits your car, you know, and you see things coming and you're like, but once it's over, you're like, all right, now let's deal with it. And it doesn't cause, you know, it doesn't cause much after that. Anxiety would kick in at a car accident and go, oh no, what's the insurance going to say? Oh, my rates are going to skyrocket. Oh my gosh, you know, when my wife hears about this, she's going to say,
I'm now late for work and I'm going to lose my job.
and for the next week until I talk to everybody, anxiety kicks in and it just makes a mess of my life. Did you see the difference?
I would say, would it be correct to say that anxiety is the fear that sets in because of the stressful situation? Like stress, you can have something difficult or bad happen where you feel a sense of pressure and then into the stress. But when you start to feel anxiety, it's when you start to feel a sense of fear or panic because of that situation.
Anxiety very much is a fear response. It's also a response to what's going to happen in the future. It's a projection. So it's also involved in avoidance. So there's a whole bunch of stuff about anxiety. It's not just fear. Fear is a part of it. It's also control. If you think what just happened, which caused stress, and anxiety kicks in, you're worried about, you know, a week from now, 2 weeks from now, and am I going to be able to control this? Is it going to be, you know, or is it? And there's a whack of emotions that come in.
I was thinking shame.
Shame isn't a part of it. Like people who experience anxiety, a lot of them will have a fear response because phobias are actually a part of an anxiety response. So phobias are being scared of spiders and having a big spider phobia or agoraphobia or any of these are anxiety responses. So fear, huge part of it, but it's also control. Shame doesn't have to be there, but it can. If you went through a traumatic event where you experienced a lot of shame and guilt, that event will actually set the background for the anxiety response. And we'll see that as we go through today. Hopefully I explained it all. So in many cases, this can be helpful in providing motivation and keeping us safe from harm. However, when anxiety becomes excessive, it can interfere with our daily lives, lead to distress, avoidance, even physical symptoms such as heart palpitations, stomach upsets, shortness of breath, and other physical ailments. You don't have to go far in researching anxiety to find people that are wrecked with some physical ailment. And when they go in and have their anxiety resolved, physical ailments get better. And all of a sudden, things doctors been looking for years are gone. It's an anxiety response that makes your body sick. And same with the mind. Strangely enough, also with the spirit. As you go through these slides, I want you to respond, just kind of think about the responses Jesus gave to anxiety. Don't worry about what comes tomorrow. Sufficient is today and the evils thereof. So everything Jesus was telling us about tomorrow and about anxiety, cast all your cares upon him because he cares for you. You'll be able to kind of piece those verses into this outline when we go through it. Any questions about this? All right. It is important to note that feeling anxiety is not the same as having an anxiety disorder, which is a diagnosable mental health condition characterized by persistent and intense feelings of anxiety that are out of proportion to the situation or the event that triggered them. Rather, anxiety is a common and natural emotion. When it becomes persistent or overwhelming, it interferes with daily life. It can turn into a problematic condition and may be diagnosed as an anxiety disorder. However, there are ways to manage it and reduce its impact. I'm going to be talking about a couple of those today. Any thoughts before we leave the definition of anxiety? All right. So in your workbooks, there are 15 examples of what anxiety might look like. So you can give those a brief read as you're listening to me, or you can kind of just keep it in the back of your mind, review it later. Not going to give you too much time to look at it today, but there's just some examples. I have split anxiety into stages. Some people do this, some people don't. You either have anxiety or you have an anxiety disorder. But what they miss is the process of actually moving into an anxiety disorder. So I want you to be aware of the process. If you're aware of the process, you might be able to watch it in your friends or people that you know, and you might be able to help them because at every stage, there's a different way of helping. We won't talk about the later stages because we're not much help to people that are in the later stages, but in the early stages, we can help. Here's stage one. It is normal anxiety and worry. This stage is characterized by mild anxiety that arises in response to situational stressors, such as work deadlines, preparing for a presentation. It's a normal part of life and does not typically affect a person's ability to function. The everyday emotion of mild anxiety can be seen as a positive motivator, helping individuals perform better by preparing them for potential challenges. Recognizing this stage as a normal aspect of human psychology is essential for managing expectations and responses to stress. Do you understand stage one? It's pretty basic.
It's a tool to keep you alive.
It's there to keep us going, but it happens in all our lives. Every last person has experienced stage one anxiety. It's just, if you're not human, you won't. Like, the Terminator doesn't experience normal anxiety, okay? But if you're human, you will. You move on to stage two, and this is a temporary short-term anxiety. Temporary or short-term anxiety occurs in response to specific events or situations. The level of anxiety might cause discomfort, but it dissipates once the event is over or the situation is resolved. and it takes a little bit of time, but it eventually resolves just like stress does. During this stage, individuals might experience increased worry or physical symptoms such as muscle tension, but these symptoms are typically manageable and do not significantly impair a person's daily functioning. Do you understand this stage? These are bouts of anxiety that last longer than, just the normal stuff that you have. It might last a week, 2 weeks, might last a month, but it doesn't impair your ability to function. It's on your mind, you worry about it. However, it's not really a long-term thing. Everybody understand this? Stage 2? It's, mostly it's how long the anxiety lasts and the intensity. And it's the intensity that you're really looking at. When anxiety becomes very intense, it wrecks our sleep. It does a whole bunch of things, and it starts impacting our health. And when it does that, it starts impacting our life. It starts impacting our relationships. And when it starts impacting us, that's when we need to really buckle down and work on it. This is the stage that you want to basically grab anxiety and put some fixes into the process. You can fix stage 2 without medication, without professional help. You just need a couple friends who understand you, and they're there for you, and their support. And you can do a little bit of what we're talking about today to get from stage 2 back to stage 1. Doesn't have to be permanent. It's just a temporary thing. That answer your question, Balfour? Stage 3 is where anxiety really gets rolling. When anxiety becomes more constant, it begins to persist without the presence of a direct stressor. It could interfere with an individual's daily activities, which may indicate the development of an anxiety disorder. Symptoms during this stage are more intense than in earlier stages and require professional help. The symptoms of chronic anxiety can manifest as constant worry, avoidance of social situations, shortness of breath, sweating, even episodes or panic attacks. Significantly affecting a person's quality of life, accurate diagnosis and effective treatments are critical for managing this stage. Do you see the difference between this stage and the previous ones? Okay, when you get to this stage, professional help is. When you're here, a couple of friends are recommended. That's life. Yeah, go for a walk. Enjoy some time with your cats. What?
Take a couple of deep breaths.
Yeah, and grab a cat. It's just like
Snuggle your cat.
snuggle your cat, your dog. Steal somebody else's cat. Yeah. Buy some magic cards or some Pokemon. Get, whatever helps you. Really, a good hobby is good. Yeah, I hate to say it, but maybe Lego. I don't know about that. I think Lego is more a symptom of stage 3, but I can't prove that. But in my mind, I'm pretty sure.
Can't call it chronic anxiety. You can call it an addiction.
Chronic Lego and Lego disorders. That's another name for this stage. Anyways, when it gets here, anxiety is starting to affect your daily life. And at this stage, it can destroy marriages, it can destroy lifelong friendships, it can destroy jobs. It's
this one you're saying it's just there and nothing actually has to set it off. It's just kind of always there.
Yeah, we're going to talk about how it actually transforms into this stage. Remember I said there's a process? I want you to understand the process. If you can understand the process, you'll be able to kind of spot it and know in your own life and in other people's lives when they're talking to you, when there's a danger from going from stage 2 to stage 3. Because at stage 2, can you help people?
Yes.
Yeah. At stage 3, can you help people? You probably can a little, but it's not going to resolve their issue. Their issue has gone from something that's normal to all of us to something that's specific to a few of us and needs a different way of dealing with it. And that's important to realize. This stage 3, if you're here, and I know Christians that get to stage 3 and they say, "Oh, all I have to do is pray and God will take care of it." These are the praying stages. See, these are the cast your care upon God parts of anxiety. This is God's now recommending you get professional help because you probably won't be able to do it on your own. Stage 4 is even worse. Stage 4 is severe, debilitating anxiety disorders. This is the most intense form of anxiety. Stage 4 is characterized by severe and debilitating anxiety disorders because, and they manifest as panic disorders, post-traumatic stress disorder, OCD, wherein the anxiety is overwhelming and constant, severely impacting daily functioning. Agoraphobia is in this class as well. People look at the door and they just can't go outside. It basically stops life, and all you're doing is living an anxiety response. And at this stage, you could almost expect anything. People experiencing this stage can find it challenging to carry out simple tasks due to difficulty concentrating. Some people may experience more severe symptoms, chest pain, long-term fatigue, irritability, hypervigilance. Professional and often multifaceted treatment is essential for individuals at this stage to regain control over their lives. They're a mess. And we really want to stop people from getting here. At this stage, you can recommend help. At this stage, they might not even listen to you. And a good friend is great to have around, but at this point, guess what's happening with your friendship? The person that you've been a friend with might not even be there. They're lost in anxiety and everything is crying and just, it's a mess. And your heart goes out to them. You want to help them and you throw yourself at them and you want to help them get to a lower stage. But at this point, you're really not a lot of help to them unless you know some things, some professional tactics that can help them get to a lower stage. Really, this is a tough one.
This would normally require medication and other things. Like
Medication, psychologists, hospitalization, different things.
The problem with this is saying it for them.
Yeah,
They need professional help.
it does. And
So they can't.
I'll explain how agoraphobia fits into this thing. But at this stage, yeah, back here, you feel normal, just a little stressed out. And you're willing to turn to friends. You're willing to accept help. Most people are. When it gets to this stage, you have done some things that have cut people off. When you get to this stage, you cut everybody off. And you still have friends. They still care about you. But what are you doing in your brain?
everyone's a threat, everything's a threat.
Yeah, there's no safety. There's no safety in any relationship. you could be married to somebody for 50 years. They go into this stage and you don't know them anymore. They are just out of their mind. Their character seems to change. That it's just a bunch of unknowns, and they're very unstable. And most people do not know how to handle people with anxiety disorders at this level. They're just all over the place. The problem with this stage 4 is when you get the stage 4s of anxiety disorders, what else do you start to notice?
It has friends.
It has friends. What? Depression, anxiety and depression are linked clinically. In North America, our highest mood disorder or disorder, mental disorder, is anxiety. In the rest of the world, it's depression. They're actually almost flip sides of the same coin, and they often occur together, and eventually will occur together. Everybody who has depression has anxiety. A lot of people who have anxiety are starting into depression. They just manifest together. A lot of the people who do the research think it's just a different fruit from the same tree, so they can't occur together. They can occur one without the other, but they have noticed that these depression and anxiety hang together like best friends, and you will often find them together. In terms of anxiety, it's hopelessness. Oh, I'll never get better. You know, the common thought is I'm going to go crazy, and then there's no help. And that's usually happening in stage 1 and 2 because they're worried about the future. They're already setting the stage. And it's very much a fear response. Oh, what's going to happen if I become like this person or if I become like that person? And it's the fear that's really starting to eat you up.
I was going to say, the thought that kept going through my head was, stage 1 was you get a little infection in a cut on your finger. Stage 4 is you got gangrene. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
It progresses.
Yeah, well, you got worse than gangrene. But yeah, there's a process involved. So do you understand these stages? All right, we got a case study. Jamila. Here's her story. She was a successful lawyer in her 40s who visited a psychiatrist explaining that for almost a year, she had been feeling anxious. She specifically mentioned having a hard time sleeping and concentrating, and increased feelings of irritability, fatigue, and even physical symptoms like nausea and diarrhea. She was always worried about forgetting about one of her clients or getting diagnosed with cancer, and in recent months, her anxiety forced her to cut back hours at work. She has no other remarkable medical history or trauma. Oh, this is it. She goes to a psychologist, good, hardworking person. She's diagnosed with an anxiety disorder or with anxiety. So do you understand, Jamila? All right, I got some questions for you. Question 1, where does Jamila land in our stages of anxiety? And why would you say she is at that stage?
Y'all say 3.
Everybody says 3?
Yes. 2.5. It is affecting.
2.5. Okay.
It's affecting the function. Yeah.
It is affecting her function in life.
It hasn't stopped her life.
What?
It hasn't stopped her life,
Mm.
but it's impaired her life.
It has impaired her life greatly. Okay. So are we all convinced it's stage 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not early stage 4?
Maybe 3.5.
Sean took 2.5, so 3.75. Okay.
Still functioning, but she's kind of, it's affecting her function.
Yeah, it's starting to affect her really. It's getting worse. Okay. Question 2. You may not have a good answer for this, but what advice would you give Jamila? she comes to you and says, Pastor, Pastor Karen, what do I do?
Well, because she doesn't know.
She's already parent, her deep is parent. Yeah. She's already seen a psychiatrist.
What?
She's already seen a psychiatrist,
Uh,
so she's trying to get professional.
Yeah, well, before she got professional help, she came to you.
That's what Karen said.
Yeah.
She recommended professional help.
Okay.
I don't think you've heard.
All right.
She doesn't know why she's feeling this way. Like for level 2, usually, or 1 and 2, you kind of know why you're feeling it. You know
Yep.
what you're worried about, but in this case, she's got all this fear, but she doesn't really know the root cause.
Yep,
So she
it's
needs to seek help to kind of get to the answer of why she's feeling this.
it sinks into the back and it just becomes something almost automatic. And she doesn't know where it's coming from. You got that right. So
It's like when there's 100 tabs open on your computer, you're like, where's the music coming from?
yeah, I hate that. It's like,
Trying to figure out what's going on in the background that's causing it.
would you give her any other advice?
Again, that means you have to see professional. It's like if you have some physical symptom, right?
Right.
Where your right hand was going numb on whatever.
Yep.
You don't know what's causing it. You have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can pray for you about it, you can pray about it.
Yep.
Ultimately, you have to go and go see the different specialists and get it diagnosed.
All right. Different specialist.
Yeah.
This could be anxiety as far as you're concerned, but it also could be a disease that's starting. You have no idea what it is. So yeah, you want to get her to go to the doctors. You want some kind of professional evaluation. What?
Run some tests to make sure that there's not a
Yeah.
physical problem that's causing a mental problem or something like that.
Right. And then hopefully a doctor a little clued in would recommend a psychiatrist or something. But okay. Question 3. What are some ideas you have regarding Jamila's background? How did she get here? Now, this is just a bunch of assumptions. Just how do you think she got here?
Yeah, some point she forgot a client, a big client.
She got a big client?
So she forgot.
About a big client.
Okay, she may have made a mistake in the past. Okay, and she doesn't want to do that again. So yeah, okay.
And again, things might come back to her childhood. Her need to feel in control of everything.
Okay.
And over time, maybe she's encountering situations that she can't fully control. And as a result, and then also some of the things from the natural aging.
Okay.
Again, situations you can't control. And she just
Could have started in childhood and just a period of events that just made it get a little worse and worse, and she's at this point now.
There could have been an actual event, something that happened to her that triggered the anxiety.
Yep. Now, for most people, there's a traumatic event that starts the whole ball rolling.
not in her case.
But in this case, there was no medical history or trauma. So in this case, there's no big event that the psychiatrist could point to and saying, we need to resolve this event. So this is actually very common. It's just it's not related to a past trauma or event. It's just a bunch of little events that weren't dealt with properly.
Mine was kind of like a combination of everybody's answer. You have learned behaviors as you're growing up, and if you don't address them, then they're dysfunctional behaviors.
Okay. It
Get worse.
It could be that she grew up without the skills of knowing what to do about anxiety.
Yeah.
And being that she's a lawyer, she probably doesn't have any friends. So, so nobody to talk to about. Anybody listening to this that's a lawyer? I'm sorry, I just had this.
Something from just her growing up as a child that led her to become a lawyer, in the sense that she felt that she had to get some kind of a a big successful kind of job, something she had to work really hard to get, to show that she's successful, and it may be that driving force that is the cause of the
This-
success and why she's now fearing.
This will be in the next seminar or the one after it. A lot of these people are perfectionists and they like to be in control. So yeah, there's something definitely in her past that
To be, well, mom and dad only showed me love if I became a doctor, a lawyer, or, this, that, or the other thing.
Yep. All right. So here's the therapy that was recommended, the treatment that was recommended for Jamila. For Jamila, a combination of CBT and medications was approach taken at cognitive behavioral therapy. So now what the doctor recommended, what the psychiatrist recommended is 2 streams of therapy for her. It's a multi-stream process. That's stage 4. It's not a simple fix for the doctor either. So yeah, she's probably at the start of stage 4, the end of stage 3. But anyways, at first Jamila was prescribed diazepam, but she didn't like it because it made her feel dull. Next, she was prescribed venlafaxine, but first in mild doses because the side effects are horrible. She handled it well, and they increased her dosage. And after 3 months, her anxiety went away. She continued to take medication for 3 more months and slowly reduced the medication amount. She showed no significant anxiety symptoms after 1 year. This is an example of a case study that was real. She took 2 streams and it basically resolved the anxiety in about 3 months. Yes?
This description of it seems to indicate that mostly of medication that kind of resolve her situation, right? Whereas I think whatever caused it, otherwise it will come back when she comes off this.
Well, this is just the treatment. This doesn't tell us much about the CBT that she went through. It just talks about the drugs. And I just wanted to bring out the drug aspect because how many of us like taking drugs? In fact, I will meet a lot of Christians that say, no, it's just you and God can handle it. You don't need treatment. And that is a dangerous place to be for a Christian who rejects, all the help. How many Christians, that probably have anxiety problems and they don't want to do anything about it because all they want to do is pray. So
Sometimes it's a chemical imbalance in the body, and that might be why the medication is working, because it may not actually be something mental or something that happened as a child. It may just be a chemical imbalance.
could be many things. That's why you let the professionals deal with it.
The combination of the therapy and the medication was successful for Jamila. Does that again mean?
Yeah.
This is why she was stage 3, not stage 4? Or?
It just worked for her.
Okay, just work.
Yeah, the stages are just for our understanding of how it progresses. It doesn't really matter where she's at. She needed medication that worked, and she needed a little bit of help in the area of her thinking, and I'll explain that in a second. So, anyways, this is a common example of anxiety. Probably as many as 90% of people suffering with anxiety disorders can be helped and cured through one of the many ways they have to deal with it. They just it's just very very workable on. Same as depression. If you get it early enough and you work on it, it's pretty much something that can be handled effectively. So next, I want you to behold the anxiety loop. Now put your thinking caps on because this is a big part. And if you can understand this, you are ahead of the game. If you've ever wondered why your anxiety sticks around no matter how hard you try to get rid of it, you aren't alone. Anxiety isn't just a one-way street sending frightening thoughts into your mind. Rather, it's a combination of triggers and responses to those triggers that exacerbate each other. Over time, anxious thought patterns and behaviors gain momentum and become stronger. And when you know how the anxiety cycle works, however, you can isolate key decision points and respond differently so that your anxiety lessens over time. So here is the loop. And I can see blue on white isn't very good. But
Did you have a slide of this in here or no?
I did not.
Okay.
However, as you can see,
I was gonna try, if I turn off the lights.
yeah, if you turn off the light, it might be a little bit better. Any better?
Yeah.
Somewhat, yeah.
All right. Anyways, it starts where you're at the bottom left-hand corner. You're in a place of safety. And then a stimulus or an event happens. So something happens and you look at what happens. You know, your boss says you have a deadline. Your wife says she hates you. Yeah, any kind of a, any kind. No, I'm just random events, you know, you have a car accident, whatever. So there's an event, then there's the interpretation of that event. Uh-oh, I'm not safe anymore. And there's danger ahead. You know, Danger Will Robinson? And there's danger ahead. And then you have the FFF response. You know what the FFF response is? Flight, fright, freeze. Yeah. It's all those all those words where it's you know, flight, fright, freeze, fawn, flop, whatever word you want to put in there, man. It's your response. Now, when you come across something that you consider dangerous, there is the side to the left where you try to avoid it. Amen? So you flight, you run away from it, you avoid it. And as soon as you get out of the situation, how do you feel? Yeah, man. Yeah. Whoo, I feel better. Now, because you feel better, what happens? Your brain doesn't say you're out of danger now. Your brain actually says this. Wow. You know, I was in danger a little while ago and we ran from it and I feel better. You know what? If that ever happens again, I'm just going to run again. You know what agoraphobia is? Fear of open spaces. This is how it starts. You go outside and somebody yells at you and you say, oh my goodness. And you step back inside and say, oh, I feel safe in my own house, man. I go outside and you go outside a second time, you do something, somebody yells at you. It's like, what do I do? You get out, you go back to your house and you feel safe again. And you do that 5, 10, 15, 20 times, and your brain is going through this loop of avoiding it, getting back into the house, feeling relief. And all of a sudden, the brain reinforces your anxiety and says, you know what? It's not safe to go outside. Do you see the loop? Because every time you go outside now, you feel anxiety. And your brain is saying, go back inside, go back inside, go back inside. Your brain is lying to you.
Because that, I can see it from here and everything, because the white is hard to see, but you see the arrows go up and around.
Yep.
Doing the anxiety cycle, but if you get out of it, then it goes
Well,
down here.
At the response level, if you go to the F, that's where you, to the left, that's when you try to avoid it. And you never want to try to avoid anything that you're facing. You face your dangers. To the right side is a healthy nervous system response. This is where you face the problem. You deal with it. And when you deal with it, there's actually a parasympathetic response. There's actually, I feel better once it's resolved. And then you can tell a story and laugh at it. And that's where, we gather together on Friday nights and we tell stories that were traumatic for us, but we faced it, we recovered from it, and now you can make a joke about it. And then you're back to safety. Now, this pattern happens with anxiety. It happens in all of us. We all received things in our life that all of a sudden make us think, uh-oh, this is danger. I need to do something. I need to shape up. There's something here I need to deal with. And our body goes into that flight or fight response. And at that point, we either face it or we try to avoid it. We try to avoid it a lot of different ways. We try to face it different ways. And sometimes we face it doesn't work so well. And we kind of kick back to, I need to reevaluate this. It's even more dangerous than I thought. But once you get on that left-hand side, you can get stuck there. And when you get stuck there permanently, that's when you need professional help. Everybody understand the anxiety loop?
What's the parasympathetic?
That's just that's when your body says, okay, the flight and fright response, fight response that I'm experiencing, there's relief from it, and your brain kind of lets off. There's no danger, and you're starting to produce a little more, those chemicals that make you feel safe. That's all that means. It's your body's relaxing, your mind's relaxing. You're like, all right, it's dealt with. Let's move on. These are fancy words, and you could probably ask David for a good definition of that. He's probably studied it at school, but.
As the parasitic nervous system controls the body's ability to relax. It's sometimes called the rest and digest state.
All right, well, there's a rest and digest state after a flight and fright state. But it's just the body calming down because you've dealt with it. Now you don't have to worry about what happens next time. There's.
But you're dealing with it when you're already in that flight, right?
Well, a lion comes through the door and roars. We're all going to experience. That's the stimulus. We've all looked at the lion and we have determined that's dangerous. And now we're in a FFF response. Now, for those of you who are going to freeze, I feel bad for you because I'm out that door. And most of us are going to run. And the slowest person or the person that freezes gets munched. Or the one that gets tripped.
Response is usually to chase after the person that's doing the flight. Not if you stand and stare them down. You're in more danger to turn around and run.
So while we go out, Mike's going to get munched. Depends how hungry he is. Well, that's a lot of work. Maybe this guy's not. Anyways. Anxiety is a feeling of intense discomfort, which drives people to avoid the feared stimuli. Anxiety is defined by avoidance. It's important to understand that every time one avoids an anxiety-producing situation, their anxiety will even be worse the next time around. The brain sees it like this. When I avoid this situation, I feel better. I guess I should try to avoid it next time too. That's how our brain thinks. It is looking for the best way to keep us safe. And if the best way of keeping us safe is to avoid things, that produces the avoidance behavior that characterizes a lot of people that have huge anxiety problems.
And I would think this is why people have a hard time getting help, because they're avoiding the very things that could help them.
They're lying to themselves. There's a whole bunch of reasons. There's a lot of stigma attached. There's all kinds of reasons why people would try to avoid a situation rather than face it and grow. We tend to be kind of a people that love to be stuck in a position where we do not mature. And you cannot mature in this response unless you go to the right and face it. Learn new coping mechanisms, learn how to deal with it. Take the situation face on and say, all right, how can I change this? And that's really the attitude, that Christians should have in life, and with sin and with discipleship and stuff. That is a response to be a victor, a victory response, as opposed to just kind of hiding and avoiding it and breaking your promises and all kinds of stuff. In your worksheets, there's anxiety triggers. Where do anxiety triggers position themselves in this anxiety loop? An anxiety trigger is something that triggers anxiety. So in this little map here, where is it?
Stimulus?
It is either the stimulus or part of the interpretation. But yeah, these are what causes kind of heads off to your interpretation of danger. So anyways, you can look at this for a minute. I don't have it on screen, David and Ruth Ann, but it's just a worksheet that says rate your anxiety from 0 to 10 based on these events. Conflict or drama in relationships, does that cause you anxiety? Yes, 10, no, 0, somewhere in between. Or being in a large crowd of people, does that cause you anxiety? That causes me anxiety. I don't like large crowds of people. So I put, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 there. Meeting new people, sometimes not stressful, sometimes very stressful, depends who they are. Having to confront someone, interacting on social media, having too much to do, giving a presentation in front of the class. These are all triggers that could send you into a fight or flight response. Anybody? I see everybody's looking at it. Anybody find any 10s yet? Can you guess what my 10s are? I don't have too many of them. You better stop watching the news. You know what? You can't hardly stop that. So you just have to find a way to, get some nice gifts for that family member. And, oh, it might work. You just haven't got the right gift yet. All right, you can look through this a little bit later. We'll have a little bit more time later. I got a lot of stuff to get through still. So on the next page, well, I'll cover this first. Here is the trauma responses that you can basically hopefully relate to. There is the fight response, and that is usually for bullies and narcissists and people with rage problems. They like to yell and scream and fight and just kind of get in there and take it out. There's the flight response. Workaholics, overthinkers, anxiety, OCD, perfectionists, they like to run. They like to, flee to safety. They don't like the conflict. They don't like the problems. They like to get out as quick as possible. There is the freeze, which is, difficulty making decisions, disassociation. Anyways, they're scared stiff. They shut down. They just freeze. Hey, what? Yeah. Now, there's the fawn response. And the fawn response is to be a people pleaser. They have lack of identity, no boundaries. And what the fawn is they just kind of, they look at the situation and all of a sudden become really nice and say, what can I do for you? What kind of gift can I give you? You know what?
This is the cat rolling over, exposing their belly.
Yeah. It's codependence. Pleasers, silences, represses self. You know, they'll take it all and won't say anything back, and they try to make everybody happy. Now, those are the actual trauma responses. There's one other called flop. I like this one. Yeah, you just faint. You're paralyzed by fear, and the idea is, you know, if I just hit the ground and stay still, they'll leave me alone. That's what you need for grizzly bear. If you flop and you stay alone, they'll take a couple bites and then kind of leave you. Now, I don't know how you flop and you don't scream while they're taking a bite out of you, but if you can do it, you might live. These are the normal responses. Can you see these in terms of anxiety? Now, because I'm a fight response kind of person, as they have bully there, that's my response. If you come at me with a dangerous situation, I am more likely to knock your head off. But how does that come into an anxiety situation? When there's a dangerous situation and I make the decision to fight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scream. I'm going to shake my fist. I am going to make you scared of me so that the situation goes away so I can exit stage left. I don't really want to fight. I just want to intimidate you to the point that the situation goes away. And what I'm really doing is I'm not dealing with it. I'm running from it. But I'm running from it by yelling and screaming. You don't see me running out the door, but you see me looking at the line going, oh yeah, you big, and I'll pick up something and throw at it. And if it makes, then I'll run for my life. But more likely than anything, I'll try to intimidate someone to back down from whatever is causing that pain. And every one of these, there is a way to kind of deal with the increased adrenaline and everything, but you kind of have to move past that and get to the stage where you're dealing with it. Here's what happens in reality. See the high points? Those are anxiety events. Your anxiety goes up. And what happens if you don't deal with it and you run away, your anxiety goes down. Amen? But what happens the next time it happens? It got bigger. Here is what happens to children. Over here, when you're a little kid, you have a little anxious event and a kid learns to run away. It gets better. Then a kid has another anxious event and runs away and it gets better. Has another anxious event, runs away and gets better. Has another anxious event and gets better. Has another anxious event, has another anxious event. And by the time they turn 20, they're so used to running away, they are leaving stage 1 and entering into stage 2. And in the 20s, if they continue to run away, guess what stage they enter into? Stage 3. If you do not deal with your anxiety by facing it, it will get stronger over time and you will increase in stages. When you're at stage 1, which is children, adolescents, some young adults, some adults, if you deal with it there, you won't have to worry about it. You see how it works? And so back to this one. Where do you take action? right after the stimulus at the interpretation phase. Okay. Anybody else?
Choose a different response.
Okay. Well, you got 5 responses. You what?
You have to choose the phase.
Okay. So you have to get through the flight response.
Because some of that fight, flight, or everything, that's just adrenaline that surges through your body.
Mhm.
And you don't necessarily have control over that, that's just gonna happen.
It is.
It's your behavior, your choices, and your thinking processes that are gonna have to kind of step in to, you know, to
Th-
get you to the next.
Thank you for reviewing that. What stage are you going to take action?
What stage?
Mhm.
At the face it.
But
Well,
you're
no,
gonna-
no, like,
All right.
You're gonna take action in the interpretation phase.
When at the interpretation phase?
You need to process what's going on, the stimuli, correctly, so that you can choose the right way to face it. So if you interpret it incorrectly, so you over-classify the situation,
Okay.
you're gonna automatically end up in that.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, the interpretation, you're deciding, you're kind of thinking, what is the problem, what's causing the anxiety? And the response is, how am I gonna deal with it? And that's what's gonna really affect you. Do you face it head on and try to deal with it, or do you try to run?
I like the flop. Anyways, anybody else?
Maybe that at that stage too late, so when it goes to relief and then reinforces somewhere around there, you say, "Okay, next time when it happens, I would choose to."
Okay.
interpreting action as the face it thing, but if you're talking about action is also as mental processes, that's the interpretation part.
This little fight flop response, by the time it gets there, if it's too intense, and this is what happens as anxiety increases, your fear, your flight, that response becomes overwhelming. If there's a little itty bitty spider and he walks on my hand, I'm like, ah, and I blow it away. If there's a tarantula, break out your stopwatch because I'm making a new world record. Okay.
You're gonna scream like Mark.
Oh yeah. And there is, I have a spider phobia. I don't really want to work on it because spiders aren't that big in Canada. But if a big enough spider jumps on me, there is nothing I am going to do with my fear response except run. Okay, so when anxiety gets too big, almost everybody tries to avoid it because the sense that you have, the anxiety is so heavy that you just want to avoid it. What you got to do is you have to reduce the flight response. You have to reduce the intensity. And that's like Balfour and Mike and everybody was saying, is at the interpretation stage. You have to evaluate what is happening correctly. You have to use discernment. And you have to discern, is this really the danger that I'm perceiving it to be? Because if it's not, then I'm overreacting. And anxiety very much is an overreaction to a stimuli that causes an excessive flight response, which causes you to avoid it more than likely. And you learn that in our youth. That makes sense? Introduce you to cognitive distortions very quickly as we close. A cognitive distortion is a thought that causes a person to perceive reality inaccurately due to being exaggerated or irrational. Cognitive distortions are involved in states such as depression and anxiety. They are negative or biased thought patterns that distorts one's perception of reality, often leading to unnecessary stress, anxiety, or self-doubt. These distortions, such as mind reading, fortune telling, emotional reasoning, warp the way individuals interpret situations and themselves, reinforcing negative emotions and behavior. I have a short video.
Rumination feels productive.
Nope, the
Your
other
brain
one.
convinces you.
Second one, the short one.
If your brain won't stop running the same loop, replaying conversations, imagining future disasters, analyzing things that already happened, that's not just how you think. People say, I'm just an overthinker, like it's a personality trait. But rumination, the clinical term for this kind of repetitive circular thinking, is one of the most reliable predictors of depression and anxiety. It's not a quirk, it's a symptom. Your brain has a network called the default mode network. It activates when you're not focused on anything external. It's where mind wandering happens. In a healthy brain, it drifts. In an anxious or depressed brain, it gets stuck in a loop. It replays the past or rehearses the future, and it can't find the off switch. And that's why you can't just stop thinking about it. The network is dysregulated. Telling yourself to stop is like telling your heart to stop beating. The solution isn't to think harder or think differently, it's to interrupt the loop. Physical movement, sensory grounding, even cold water on your face. These work because they force your brain to shift out of the default mode network and into the present. You're not broken for overthinking, but you do need tools that match the problem. Send this to the person who says, I just can't turn my brain off, because they need to know it's not a choice. This is the It's Not Your Personality series. Follow for the next one.
Poof. There are in your worksheets, there are 50 common cognitive distortions, and there are more. Every family seems to have a different cognitive distortion that's unique to that family. Some people have unique cognitive distortions that are unique to them and what they believe. It's amazing how many there are. These are just 50 common ones. There are hundreds. How do you work with someone and find out what their cognitive distortion is? You need a lot of discernment. You need a lot of grounding in truth. And if you can't tell that, it's going to be hard to walk somebody through a cognitive distortion. Because if you change the way they think and you change some of their interpretation about some events in their life, you will change the course of their life. And it all comes from recognizing they have faulty thinking patterns. Now, when they have faulty thinking patterns, they think it's a correct thinking pattern, but it's not really benefiting them. It's not helping them mature. And you need a lot of kind of discernment to be able to notice that and walk through it. So I'm going to give you 5 examples. You just kind of read what they are. And that will be it for today. And I'll show you something in our notes. But David, you're going to laugh at me. This is the one word in English I can't pronounce. Catastrophe, I can pronounce that. Catastrophizing, I have to hear it first, is a cognitive distortion which involves jumping to the worst possible conclusion in a way that is disproportionate to the threat. If you go down this mental pathway habitually, it will leave you feeling like you're always in crisis mode. This is a bad one. It is give me an example of this kind of thinking.
You go outside, people are gonna look at you and criticize you.
And they're not only going to criticize me, what are they going to do? Yeah, they're going to laugh at me and humiliate me. And you know what? I'm never going to recover from that. I will be scarred for life. That's catastrophizing. Give me another example.
I think you had it early on in your preaching of,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a mistake while I'm preaching, I'm gonna say something wrong, and then I'm gonna be a heretic, and then they're gonna chase me out of the church, and then I can't be a pastor anymore.
And then I'm going to hell because I was a false prophet. Oh, I'm sorry, Lord. Oh yeah. I was like, it was Paul, not Peter. I'm a false prophet. Man, I almost quit the ministry and everything on that one. It's just like my first sermon. It's like, no.
One of the ones on here is the number 2, the mind reading one. It reminds me of a very popular meme that has so many different versions of the man and woman in bed. And the
Yes.
woman is always thinking, I bet you he's thinking about other women now. And then they show his thought, and it's like, if R2D2 belonged to Anakin, why didn't he tell Luke Skywalker who it was?
In terms of bad thinking, we are our own worst enemy. This is one example of bad thinking. That's another one. This is another one. Entitlement thinking. Entitlement thinking is in a cognitive distortion context, is the belief that one is inherently deserving of special treatment, privileges, or outcomes, regardless of effort, circumstances, or fairness. For instance, I shouldn't have to wait in line. I'm too important. Do you ever come across that one? People who think it's their right to cut in line because, you know, they got to make a business meeting.
Customer service, I've seen a lot of entitled people.
I deserve a promotion even if I haven't done the work. I was a supervisor for a couple years. You cannot believe what people think they should get awards for. But it's not fair that I have to do the chores. Everyone else is off. Entitlement beliefs. If you got these beliefs, what happens when anxiety comes calling? Oh, you know what? I shouldn't have to work hard to get rid of this. Just give me a drug. I don't have to work on my thinking. Emotional reasoning is a cognitive distortion where individuals believe something is true simply because it feels true, using emotions as evidence instead of logic or objective facts or science or anything that's real. Examples: I feel anxious, so something bad must be happening. I feel worthless, so I must be a burden to others. I feel neglected, so my partner doesn't care about me. I know this project will fail because I feel scared. Do you know anybody who takes their feelings and moves it up to basically scientific fact and then stands on it while there is so much evidence to the contrary? You know anybody like that? Happens a lot. I just don't feel there's a God. I just don't feel that Jesus is the way. You know what? I just don't feel that I need to.
Sometimes it's the opposite. I feel God is okay with this. Even though the Bible says he's not, I feel he's okay with this, so.
Yeah, you know what? God said if I wanted to, I could steal that money, and I'm good with it. Thank you, Lord. Amen. Hey, what?
I don't feel bad about it, so.
All right. Emotional reasoning. When you're in counseling with these people, how do you get through to them? It's very hard because they say, well, this is how I feel. And it's reality. My feelings are reality. And because I feel this way, the world has to move.
I feel it, so it's true.
Yeah, it's very hard to deal with.
Feel this.
Here's a big one. The cognitive distortion called blaming involves thinking of others as the source cause of all negative feelings and experiences. For example, I'm angry all the time. It's my brother's fault for bullying me as a kid. Amen? No. My parents didn't tend to my needs growing up, and that's why I have all these problems. It's my parents' fault. Any parents ever get blamed? The blaming distortion puts the responsibility entirely on other people or on the events that happen in our lives. It convinces us that we are merely helpless victims of our circumstances and that nothing we do will matter. To use a term from psychology, it convinces us that the locus of control is external instead of internal. When you are dealing with this, guess what? You know what? It's my parents' fault, so blah, 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 blah. There's nothing I can do to change it because that's what they taught me and that's who I am. And it goes along with a whole bunch of other cognitive distortions. Other examples of this one? You know what? I would have preached a different sermon if it wasn't for you, Sonia. Yeah, you woke me up and you destroyed my way of thinking. And so it's her fault the sermon's got all these holes in it. Yeah, it's her fault.
I remember hearing someone last night, they got a few cards that they didn't like getting. And they put on the plate saying, oh, it's this person's fault, they didn't shuffle it.
They didn't shuffle.
But that was true. Worry and overthinking. You probably also had moments when a lot of thinking didn't pay off and actually interfered with your life. Maybe you were up all night replaying an argument you heard earlier that day. When thinking causes distress or increased negative emotion, that's overthinking, and it's not very helpful. That was the video we watched. Signs of overthinking: second guessing your decisions, reliving embarrassing moments over and over and over and over again in your mind, like my grade 12 graduation. I won't tell you about it because I will be traumatized again. Obsessing over what someone else said or did, getting stuck weighing the pros and cons of a situation to the point of never making a decision. If you want to work on anxiety, you work on your thinking patterns. This is cognitive behavioral therapy in a nutshell. In your workbooks, there are 2 pages after the fear factor. If you the more truths you get, the worse fear is in terms of your anxiety. But in the restructuring of an event page and the other page, what? Right, and the other page with a basic cloud on it. What you do is you put the event in and you write down what you're thinking about the event. So an event causes you some stress and anxiety. You write your thinking, a whole bunch of different thoughts. You write one of them in there and you start to work on it. And as you start to work on it, you're saying, oh, nobody loves me. When somebody besides me says nobody loves me, you write in there, you restructure it. It's not true that nobody loves me. God loves me. You hear that, David? God loves me. Yeah. And you just try to go through it and try to find out how true the statement is that you're thinking. And you know what you will find is that a lot of statements that you are putting a lot of trust in aren't really true statements. And if you put a little work into it, you will find the flaws in that thinking, the flaws in your own thinking, and you can come up with an alternate way of thinking which will address that. When you come up with an alternate way of thinking, when you come up with an alternate way of thinking, what will actually happen is your response to the stimulus will decrease. When it decreases, your desire to take the flight response or the fight response or the flop response will actually decrease, and you will actually be in a place where you can look at it and say, all right, here's what I need to do. And that is our workshop for today. So no, because the other video is the same as the first video. I think there was a mistake somewhere. So I will skip that and send it to you. All right, play the next one real quick.
Rumination feels productive. Your brain convinces you that if you just think about a problem a little bit more, you'll figure it out. But that's a trap. Your brain is wired to solve problems. When something feels unresolved, it keeps returning to it, trying to find closure. The problem is, some things just can't be solved by thinking alone. And emotional pain isn't a puzzle with a logical answer. Rumination also activates the same reward pathways as actually solving problems. So even though you're not getting anywhere, your brain feels like it's doing something important. That's why it's so hard to stop. It feels meaningful even when it's making things worse. The key to recognizing that rumination isn't reflection is repetition without resolution. And sometimes the only way forward is to consciously step away from the thought.
Slightly different video than.
Slightly different video on overthinking. But again, it's the idea of if you are spending too much time overthinking things, you're probably not getting to the truth. So anyways, thank you for today's workshop and for coming out. And any questions? I don't know if David or Ruth Ann, you have any questions?
Obviously, we need a part 3.
No, we got a part 3 and a part 4. There's lots of work on anxiety, and it also dovetails with a lot of other mental health issues. So,
yeah, thank you very much. It was very, very insightful. Yeah, even for what I do at work, definitely come across people that are in those different stages. So learning a bit more about it really just kind of helped me to process it a little bit better.
Yep.
You never really know what you're gonna get, right? Like someone on the outside might look fine, and then you start talking to them, and then you start seeing, oh, there's a lot here, right? It's very deep.
oh, there's a lot here.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
tons of stuff you can do. You can do research on and kind of work through.
I really appreciate it. Thank you. I'm looking forward to.
And
the next one.
actually, I've sent you the workbook in an email,
Okay.
so you should be able to open it up and see everything.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks, David. Anyways, Ruth Ann.
Hang on a second.
Oh, hang on a second, Ruth Ann.
All right.
We have an auction.
There are some puzzles.
Puzzles.
Ooh.
If anybody would like a puzzle.
Okay, that's one.
Okay.
Oh, I can't see. What am I? Oh, here we go.
That one has doggies.
Okay.
And a Venice.
Dogs in Venice? Is that what that is?
First one was a purple cottage. Okay.
Bluebird.
There's a kitty cat one.
Kitty cats.
And there's another doggy picnic.
Doggy picnic.
Nice.
And there's some dogs at the lake.
Dog at the lake.
That's kind of nice.
And
There's a dog thing going on
Yeah,
here.
there's doggies.
A little
in
kid in a.
Doggies in a
Actual one.
clam.
Not-
Pram.
And there's a like old stone
Stonehouse.
shop.
Dog?
A little,
Yeah. Dog on him.
The Chapeau Rouge, like a little Quebec City kind of.
Worse. It's French.
if you're interested in any of these, I can send them with Karen and she can bring them to you.
Can you
Anybody
show
want
me
a puzzle?
the purple cottage again? What was that? Bluebird something?
It looks like a spring scene.
Oh, if you want.
If you can have them all, like these are gifts to whoever wants them, they're free.
Or we'll hold them for you, David, whatever.
This,
Oh, I'm terrible at puzzles. I'm not even
Okay.
gonna pretend I can put them together, especially the smaller ones. But I love the scenes.
this
I'll
one is-
take that one.
Okay.
So give
Okay.
it to Karen. Thank you. And maybe was it the little girl with the pram or?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's really
That
cute
one's
too.
cute. I'll take that one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
I do lots of puzzling.
I should learn
That's
from
my
you, Ruth-Ann, because
relaxation.
I can't put a puzzle together to save my life. So
Yeah, jigsaw puzzles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you,
Software
Sonia.
took one. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you later.
awesome. Have a great week,
Have a
everybody.
good week.
Take
God
care.
bless.
Love you.
Ruth-Ann, have a good time with your mom. Get home
Thank you
safe.
so much. Thank you.
Take
Yeah.
care.
Bye.
Bye.